Hello, welcome back to my corner of YouTube. I'm glad you're here. Welcome to my writing desk. I'm really excited to show you this today because this is where I do all of my work, and I love seeing content about where writers do their work as well. I have to kind of hurry because I've got my little guy in the other room watching some super simple songs and some dinosaur videos and things just to kind of keep it quiet in here, because if he comes out, he shakes the tripod and then it's crazy. So I love kids, and if you'll come in and sit with me and be with me, that would be great. But be aware you might see a shaking tripod at some point. So I'm really glad to be back here. I've got my normal content like that I've been posting for the past couple videos, which is like word counts and progress on stories and things, but also have some other writer's journey stories, because that's what I kind of made these videos for, is to chronicle like my journey as an author and as a writer. And I have to first start off with, was I scammed or not? Spoiler, I was not. It was just me not reading up on KDP author copy policies. So I had the joy and privilege of my friend calling me and asking me if I wanted to sell physical copies of my books at her little country store that she was opening in my local town. I said, yes, great. The store was set to open in 2 weeks from that date. So I placed an order for author copies for my World of Sugarcane Lane books, which I was so thrilled about, but I didn't read up on the policies, and there were a bunch of loopholes, and it was a wild goose chase from beginning to end to purchase those copies. And the two main hiccups were, number one, I didn't realize that author copies from KDP take a long time. So if you're a new author and you're wanting to buy copies from KDP, prepare for it to take a month and a half. It was crazy. So I ended up buying consumer copies, which put me in the hole already with the whole situation, and I wasn't happy about that. So the author copies came a clean month and a half later after the store opened. And I was happily stocking them at the store, all was well. And then a week after, so all of this was like last week, right? I got the author copies 2 weeks ago, and then last week I saw two strange charges on the card that I purchased those books with, and it did not strike me immediately what those purchases could be. It said they were from Amazon, so I filed like a fraud report through the card company, ended up getting chargeback emails for it. I'm like, someone is like messing with me right now. Like, this is crazy, but the fault is all mine. I could have read up on the policies better. It turns out, not only do author copies take a really long time, they actually don't charge you for those author copies until they are shipped. And that's what was also confusing for me, is that I did not get those charges when they shipped. I got them long after the books had already arrived. So I think that if I would have gotten charged and a notification that they had shipped, I would have put two and two together. But it was just a very strange debacle. So with that being said, I'm researching finding another self-publishing company to go through, namely Lulu, I think. I saw a girl that I follow on here who self-published her little book, and it had Dust Jacket on it, and it was a linen cover, and it had all kinds of like more customizable options that I really liked. So I think one of my goal is to do the Project Painter, which is right here, Project Painter. I think I might go through Lulu or another, like one more, I don't remember what the other companies are, but I might try a different company for that and try to do some like more fun customizable things, like a dust jacket and the different type of linen cover, maybe. So I'm really excited about that. So that's kind of like the trajectory for Project Painter, which I'm kind of cool about, kind of like cool, like excited about. So there's that, the whole debacle of purchasing author copies through KDP. Don't do it. It's not worth it. I mean, unless you plan in advance, like, and you know what's going to happen. But I have a feeling that sometimes it's lucrative and you just never know how your situation will turn out. So there's that. Number two, oh my gosh, okay, so I'm excited about this. I have a lot of things. I'm trying to get through it kind of quickly in one take. For Christmas, one of my best friends bought me the sweetest reading journal, and this is so sweet because I have definitely within the last year dove back into reading, because I am a literary consumer. Like, if I'm not reading, I'm consuming words and books and content somehow, which usually it's via news or like social media or something on my phone, and I don't like having just that kind of media to consume. So I've gotten back into reading maybe the past 1 or 2 years, and I've read some good books, but they bought me this journal. One of my best friends bought me this journal, and I'm really excited to go through it. So my plan is I think it's a really healthy start, right? There are 24 spaces to talk about your books in here, like to record your books. And so for me, that's 2 books every month. And I think if I pick the right books, that would work out and I can do it. So let's just call it, that's the goal, is to fill up this journal and be able to do it all in 2026 and then start a fresh one in 2027. So I have to fill this out today. It's a fun, like, cozy hobby. I've already filled out like some of my like information and things here, but I have to go in and fill out my first book, which was actually my first book that I read for this year, or at least that I finished, was Crown Tide by Alex Astor. I've been going through these books since about October. I think I bought Lightlark in October-ish, November, December, and then started this one in December, and then finished it just like a couple of days ago. And so for me, if I'm going to keep pace and keep time, I have to read one book for 15 days, from the 1st through the 15th of every month, and then my second book the 15th through the 30th or 31st of like the rest of the month. So I'm a little bit behind, but I think I can catch up, because my second book that I'm going to read is one that I'd started to read before but put down because I was just in a time in my life where I wasn't reading a lot, and I think that I would love it. It's Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies. My other best friend, so one best friend bought me this journal, and then the other best friend had lended me the Emily Wilde book last year or the year before or something, and it was a DNR. It was just DNF. Did not finish. I just did it, and I knew that I wanted to go back to it at some point. It was not for any negative reason within the book that I did not finish it. I enjoyed what I read of it. I just didn't finish it. It was just not the right time for me to read that book. So I bought the book on my Kindle so I can start reading that. And I think if I can catch up to where I was before and kind of read, not quickly, but like recap what I have read before and then finish through, I will finish that book by the 30th or 31st of this month, and then I can start my February books. I like the series, the Lightlark series. If you haven't read it before, you should. It's pretty good. I don't know if I'll spend very much of this video talking about these other than recommending them. I think they're a fun read. There's 4 of them, and so if you're somebody who likes to purchase a whole series, or you're not sure if you want to get invested in it, it captured me. I liked it. So Lightlark is the first one, Nightbane is the second one, Skyshade is the third, and then what we just got and finished is Crown Tide, which is the 4th one. So it's a fun series. I enjoyed it. So I'm looking forward to the 5th book whenever she should release it. So that's exciting. Okay, so Writer's Journal, that's done. 1 and 2. The first will be Crown Tide, and the second will be Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies. So I think Emily Wilde actually, so Heather Fawcett is the author of the Emily Wilde series. I think that there's a sequel to it. I think it's something like Emily Wilde's Maps of the Other Lands or something like that, or like Other Worlds or other somethings. But I'm kind of excited to read that one too, because I know that I'll like the Emily Wilde books. Just couldn't get into them in the moment. Fun quick update. Remember the notebook that I mentioned in the last video that I couldn't find? Found it. It was tucked away in this desk somewhere. So it's just got a couple of notes and a couple of like early plots of Projecteers. So I've got like really early plot outlines and things in here, and I think I'm going to put Project Painter in here shortly so that I can have like somewhere to keep it straight and safe, at least this first draft, because the pages are starting to curl and it's starting to look like a true writer's draft, which is fun. I love that, but I think I might put it in here in a little bit. So, okay, found my notebook. Okay, writing progress. Here we go. So for Project Painter, I have officially started chapter 4 revisions and edits. As I continue this, I'm getting very strong vibes and feelings from myself that this is draft 3. I'm probably gonna have to do a draft 4 and maybe a draft 5. I'm not sure. There are just some things that are reading very odd to me, and then I also need to finish up my research for some of this. So today at some point I need to sit down and do some studying for that and to do the research. But I just have a feeling that this next draft is it's going to be a good solid draft, and then the other edits that come after it are just going to be very minimal. I might have to do some structural changes, which is like, but I feel like I have to do it. Just some things just aren't reading quite right. in this, and it's for fun, and I want it to be done right, and I don't want to just hurry and publish it just to have it done and published. Like, I need to slow down and take the time to do it. So Project Painter, I would say, what was the math that I did the other day? I did like a certain percentage, like I attributed each part of the writing process to a percentage, 0 through 100% the other day. I would say that 50% of the writing process for me is draft 1, because it's hard for me to get through a first draft because I'm such a perfectionist, and I want for that first draft to be the best that it can be so that I can have a clean slate to start the rest of the process. And I know some writers tell us not to do that, like just to get the first draft out and then all the rest of the work comes with the revisions and the edits, but I don't work that way. I never publish a first draft ever. I've never published a first draft, but for some reason I feel like for me to really get to a new growth in writing, I need to push as hard as I can with that first draft and get everything out that I possibly can. Then I don't feel like I'm covering, other ground when I'm trying to do revisions and things. Like, I don't know how to explain it. It's like I want to do the best I can out of the gate so that all of the rest of the work and revisions and edits that I do are truly revisions and edits, and not just, I was lazy in chapter 11, so now I got to go back in round 2 and add this in or redo this. I don't know how to explain that. So I feel like it was that way with the Painter. Like, I feel Project Painter is very much that type of project, which is why it's taken me a hot minute to get through it. It's only 5 chapters. It's a kid's book. It's not super long. Like, this is how big it is, and then it'll be front and back, because right now it's only like 1 page each. So anyway, okay, freeze, let me go get this commercial. I'll be right back. Enjoy. Okay, I'm back, and I'm keeping it real. I probably won't edit out that little spot, so take a minute, sip your tea, drink your coffee during that part. Who knows? I don't know how I'm gonna tell you that in editing, whatever. But anyway, writing progress. So Project Painter is good. I am about, I want to say 40% done with Project Tears first draft. I am almost solid at 50,000 words, which I'm thrilled about, because I know that after I can get through 50,000 words, the rest is going to come quickly. Again, I'm encountering a lot of like plot difficulties and things with that book. I thought it was going to be easy, but as I write it and as I discovery write with it, I feel like I'm just weaving so many more plot things into it that just are catching me, and I want to weave it in, but I'm like, well, I don't know what the purpose of this is. So I'll tell you a little bit about like where I'm stuck at. So this is set in a mystical kingdom where, a curse confines its citizens and its inhabitants into sentient objects or animals at nighttime. And that's to the advantage of the antagonists who cast the curse, right? And then our main characters are, fighting to break this curse. Like, it's just kind of, that's like a simple baseline. Like, it's a little bit more complex than that, but that's just the baseline, right? So at this palace that our main character is at, she is granted access to a place called the Hall of Crowns. Like, only one type of person can go in, and she is that person. She can go in, and she talks to kind of like residual like spirits and entities of previous rulers, kings and queens, to receive like exclusive information, almost like, I don't know how some places there's like the president's secret book, like only rulers know about some of the things that she is going to be exposed to through the spirits and residual entities of these rulers that came before her. But I'm sort of at a point in my story where I don't know what the purpose of the Hall of Crowns is, like how that is tied into my plot. It feels a little bit like a plot device, like an empty plot hole to me, and I don't like it, so I'm stuck at this particular chapter. I don't remember what chapter this is. Maybe it's like 12 or 13 out of maybe like 30 or 35 chapters. And so I'm kind of struggling with that portion, because I like that setting, like I like it, but I don't know how it's going to tie in yet to the story, and I have a hard time moving on without knowing what its purpose is. So that's kind of where I'm at. I'm about 40% with Project Tears. Okay. okay, I think that's where I'm at. I'm going to finish up by sharing with you something I am really thrilled about. I kind of bit the bullet and I pulled the trigger and I did it. I talked in one of my last videos about curriculum that I learned how to read through when I was a kid in elementary school, and it is from the publishers Silver, Burdett, and Jen. It was called The World of Reading. And the more that I dig into this curriculum, the more I love it, and the more that I just miss that kind of curriculum. I think one of their trademark phrases, like their catchphrase was like, literature leads, skills support, which as a teacher, like this is the teacher in me talking, I love good literature, like good stories for kids. And I feel like so much of our curriculums these days are very scientifically based, which I think is useful in itself, but it's very scientifically based. And so the foundations of kids learning how to read doesn't come from good literature anymore. It comes from skills and the science behind learning those skills, which I think has its place. Like, I think for some kids it would be great, but I miss the day when kids were exposed to really good stories first, because kids love stories. They're not going to sit and understand and like fully take with them the science behind learning phonics. You know, like those aren't things that they are going. Okay, back to what I was saying before. I gotta make this really short. I just really love when curriculums talked about children's literature first and then talked about the skills that were pulled from that literature. And I actually think it's kind of hard to find good stories that are both age appropriate and contain the skills that kids need. So that's what I love about this curriculum, is it looks like somebody put in the hard work to create it, and it's a strategy that I really am passionate about, that I love as a teacher. So this is level 7, which I remember reading this in second grade, the stories from this book, and I just love it. This is the curriculum from The World of Reading by Silver, Burdett, and Jen from the 1980s, and then I used it all the way up to the 1990s, and then maybe into the early 2000s a little bit before the next curriculum was adopted in my school district. But this is called Going Places, and the stories in here like take me for a loop, like a history loop. There's one called Tony's Hard Work Day, which is about him building a house for his family. And I tell you, this story made me feel like I could build my own house. And that's what good stories do. They make you think anything is possible, and they open up doors for you to just live your best life. And I love that. But like, look, like he builds like this little hole in the ground for the foundation, and he's like filling it in with stones and rocks and stuff, and then he's building the walls out of like, you know, all the wood and the logs and stuff. It was just such a good story. But my favorite one that I really love is called Dandelion, and this is such a sweet little story. Look at this. It's called Dandelion, and it's about a little lion who just wants to get ready for a party, and he doesn't succeed. So thank you for joining me today. Hope you have a good time. I hope you have a good day. I will see you next time.